All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to properly price your videography work if you're just beginning or if you're somewhere intermediate. If you're advanced, this is not really for you. This is more of like the beginner to the intermediate level and tips that what you can actually do now, today, to price your videography work the correct way. Right now, I'm in DC. I'm filming a week-long podcast with the client, and we're going to come back and film it again. But I was in the room and I was like, this is a question I keep getting asked every single time that I'm actually flying out somewhere. If I meet somebody in the airport, if they're an aspiring videographer and they see me with equipment, they're always asking that question like, okay, how do you price for that? Like, what are you doing? So let me just go ahead and talk and let you guys know exactly what I do. Hopefully, I'm gonna run through this. I don't even really believe we're gonna edit this. We're just gonna let it go. So right now I have some notes on my phone and I just wanna kind of go from there and help you guys out. All right. So the first tip, what I would actually say, or the first step, what I actually say, especially if you're just beginning, is just to define like what your base is. And basically what I mean by base, your base is what does it cost for you to shoot? Okay. And I'm not talking about just, hey, I'm going to go out and shoot a birthday party and come back in. I'm talking about what does it cost for you to leave the house? Meaning, do you have to rent equipment to do it? Do you have enough equipment to do it? Maybe you just may have one camera and it's only doing photo and it's not really good on video. Like, what is your rental cost? What is your lens cost? Do you have lighting? Do you need to bring the lighting in? Just figure out what that base is. What is the amount that you have to pay for your licensing services? How many songs would you need for that licensing services? Can you determine what that fraction of that would be? I mean, it may not be a lot, but again, just determine your base. Everything that it takes for you to leave the house to run a video job. Again, just to run a video job. And I'm even talking about insurance, what the gas may be. I mean, you may calculate that out based off wherever that you're shooting, but you just want to make sure that you include everything. You want to include that as well. So figure out what your base is once you have that number, because it could be different for everybody. And I can't give you what your base may be. It's just whatever it may cost for you to leave the house to even film, to start filming. That's your base. Okay. Once you determine your base, I think a lot of times people may sleep on this. And this comes my tip number 2 is to really do your market research. And I'm not just going to say that because a lot of people are like, what is market research? Like, what do you mean? Who do I have to go to like online and figure this out? No, like in your area, I want you to like search out for 3 people who shoot like you. Okay, we're just going to use that as a baseline example. Like, they shoot like you, they edit like you. You can kind of see some similarities in as far as like how you guys put things together, because again, what you're posting online, you get a kind of idea like where you gauge like talent wise with other people. So just pick 3. I don't want you to go doom scrolling and trying to figure out 20 people that you're going to look up to and looking at the top 1%. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 3 people, whether it be in your area. I want it to be more local. Try to focus more local or just in your city that shoots similar to what you're doing. And you could use that as a base. Now, I want you to take it a step further too. And you could do this any which way that you want. Out of those 3, pick one that you really, hey, this, I can really vibe with this. This looks similar to what I'm doing right now, because everybody's unique. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Everybody's unique, but you kind of vibe with this one. Okay, like, hey, I could see myself here. I could see myself like, I could see where people may get it probably confused, and maybe we shoot alike or maybe we edit alike. I want you to focus in on that one person, okay? And flattery, well, I don't even know what I'm saying, but, if you're reaching out to a person, I want to just say this. I want to say this. Don't reach out to the person and ask to pick their brain, especially a videographer if they're busy. Please don't do that. Don't say, hey, I want to pick your brain about something. If you see them in the street and they're not doing anything, that's yes, but just consider all the things that you may have to do, like when you're running your business. And do you really want somebody to pick your brain? Yeah. Just chill on that. So what I want you to do is like kind of reach out if they have a website, literally go through their questionnaire, fill it out, and just see if they have their pricing up. So you can get a gauge to see what they're doing and how much they're charging, so you can actually get your gauge there. Another way you could actually do it is have somebody reach out to them and just see if they could get a quote based off, a certain services that you're looking to offer or that you're planning to offer. So you get an idea, okay, this person charges here. Even though you may not be exactly the same as a person, you be a step up, but you guys are similar. But everybody's price is their price. But I just want you to just get a ballpark of figuring out, okay, what is the cost? Like, what is it? Because you may never know. You may think that they're super high and you get to that quote and I'm like, oh, wow. That's it, you know, or you may get to the quote and be like, ooh, how do I get to that level? Because it's all in your confidence as well too. You just can't jump out saying I'm charging $15,000 for a 1 minute video. Probably not there yet. And if you are there, kudos to you. It's going to take a little bit, just depending on who you're shooting for, but when you get it, then you can get a gauge to see where you're at. And of course, go back to your base. Remember that base of what it takes for you to leave the house to shoot anything and kind of incorporate that and come up with your number. Now, another way that you can do it is honestly, if you see them and they're out and you guys bump into each other, just be like, hey, I'm a fan of your work. You know, we shoot this, and if you guys hit it off, you know, you can ask them. You could say, hey, you know, what do you typically charge for this? And if they reveal the information they do, most probably won't. But if they're cool, I'm pretty sure if somebody catches me and they ask like, hey, what do you charge for this? I'll probably give you a little runaround because I'll say there's so many factors that come into it, but maybe give you a ballpark. You know, that's kind of like where you want to go from there. I know for myself, when I first started off with photo and video, there was one particular gentleman that I'm being honest, my wife and I, we secret shopped, and then we actually became really cool friends later on. And I told him this story before, but I just wanted to figure out like, hey, what does he charge? And luckily for all his pricing, it was actually there. And the amount that he was charging, I couldn't believe. I mean, because it was a high amount. Like, and this is the winning game, what he was charging. And that gave me a level to look up to because I was nowhere near where he was. I was good, but I was nowhere near like the level of things that he were doing. Now today, you know, we're good friends, and I told him the story before, but I think what happened is like I just took that step and just figured out what his pricing was, and I just watched him. I admired his work. I wasn't hating on him at all, just admiring his work. It's like, man, I really like the way that you shoot that. You know, just being humble as a student of what he was doing, because again, he's been in business longer than me. But you could do that with the individual, especially if they've been in business longer than you. Just kind of just admire them from afar. You know, don't get creepy on them. Don't constantly show up to where they're at. Don't, you know, if you're commenting on every post like, dude, you killed that. You know, let me know what you charge. No, we're not talking about that. You know, just admire from afar so you can kind of see where they're at and where you want to go. And if you guys are on the same level, if they're posting more than you, you can actually kind of see like, hey, you know, the cloud is coming from there. Now, the one thing I do want to say, just back up just a little bit, when you're looking for your 3 people, just don't base it off of likes or don't base it off of followers. What I want you to do, those 3 people, I want you to really dig deep into their website if they have that, and actually see the clients that they work with, see the people they're working with. Are they similar to the people that you're working with? And if they are, then let the proof be in the work. Not the followers, because you can have a ton of followers, you can have a ton of likes and such, but on the back end, you're not making any cash. I'm talking about people who are actually, they are physicians out there to the game, meaning they are in the field, they are working, they are producing videos, they are shooting videos, and you can actually see this with the clients that they have, whether it be on their website, whether it be through testimonials, whether it just be in their stories, showing that they're out there working, actually putting in the work, and they're not just posting things that not really showing work just when they're out there working, because that could give you a good gauge, because they're out in the market, they're out with these clients, and the clients are paying them, so you can kind of get a gauge of what they're paying from there. Okay, so number 3, like I said, I'm gonna stick to my script here, so I'm not completely rambling here, is once you get that base, once you get like an idea, your market rate, that rate that you're charging, what people are similar to you within your area, I want you to move, if you are on hourly rate, I want you to move to project base. And again, what I mean by project based is when a client approaches you and they say, hey, I want you to do a video, I need you to look at the totality of that vehicle, hear me? That video. So if it's hey, you know, I have a small business, we're looking to launch because we want to sell products as far as like candles or whatever it is, services, it could be anything. I want you to look at that project. I don't want you to say, well, for me to come out, I charge, $300 an hour or $250 an hour, and I'm there for 3 hours. Just get away from that. Try to get away from that as soon as you possibly can and just go to a project base, because the project base will give you more leverage for you could actually just show exactly what your value is when they need a project completed, rather than just saying, hey, I'm here for 8 hours or 4 hours. It's not a wedding. I'm here for 4 hours, and I'm gonna look to get this, and this, and we're gonna produce this. Base it off the project, because again, they may come to you again on another project, and that scope may be completely different, and you don't have to explain things later. Just say, hey, based off what you told me, based off the scope that you have, this is the project rate that we're gonna charge. This is we're gonna. You don't necessarily have to get into detail as far as if they don't want to know that, meaning you don't have to get into say there's going to be 2 videographers. We're going to have 4 cameras set up this way, unless they want like a technical reasoning behind the reason why you're charging that. And then it's later on when you get to like corporate level and they want to take it to their marketing department or the CMO, and the CMO needs to see exactly what it is. They need it itemized, they need it broken down. That's when you get into the nitty gritty, talking about the cameras and stuff that you're bringing in and how you actually going to complete the work that they want. And if you have to draft out like a storyboard and such like that, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about for smaller, if you're like starting off to like in an intermediate phase, just to go on a project like, hey, based off this, what you told me, this project is going to cost you X amount. Okay, why does it cost this much? And then you could get into detail if you're on the phone, or you're on a Zoom, or you're in person. You get into detail explaining everything that you're going to get, pre-production, during the production, and post-production. And you could, kind of bundle that all together. But just remember, you got your base, you got your market, and now you're in a project because you're looking to see all the things that they need first before you spit a number out. Because again, you could be selling yourself short if you get a project and you say, oh, well, I charge this amount per hour. That includes the edit rate. But is it really going to take that amount of time? Because again, this can be something completely different when you're zipping around to different locations and such. Now you're selling yourself short because you're like, I gave you 3 hours, but you didn't tell me there's another location over here and there and there. And again, that's on you at that point. You're selling yourself out. So figure out exactly what they need for the project, and then you quote based off that project rate. And again, your numbers could be completely different than the person right next to you, but at least you have a gauge. You have an idea. When somebody who's shooting similar to me, and my base, what I need to leave the house, and then based off what their project is, that project. Again, that's what you want to kind of like focus in on, how you're going to price the whole thing out. And again, that number could be different for you. So for instance, if they say, hey, we want videos shot on 3 days, and we're looking to get this amount of videos out of that. And then from there, from those videos, we're probably looking to produce X amount of shorts. Then again, yeah, you price for that because you got to figure out, hey, what it's going to cost for me to come out there for 3 days, gas, if it's going to cost me any lunches, it's going to cost me bringing more crew members in. I need to bring some additional lighting in. I need to bring some additional cameras. I need to rent this or rent that. And then what's that post-production like? Do you have editors that work for you? What is it going to cost per project for your editor, revisions and such like that? So kind of like think about that whole thing in totality before you just throw out an hourly number rate. You don't want to, you just got to get away from that. Just get away from that, all right? Now, number 4, I would say the other way that you could price for your videography work is start moving to the retainer model. And retainer model, a lot of people get this confused. They want to say, well, every time I come out, they got me on retainer. But really, it's kind of like project work because, again, you're looking at the totality of whether it be like a 6-month contract that you're in or a 12-month contract that you're going to go out and produce X amount of videos. Yes, it is retainer, but it's a retainer with guardrails, because you don't want scope creep. Scope creep is when you basically start off saying, hey, this person has me for this amount of allotted time, we can produce this amount of videos, but then all of a sudden when you go to month 2 or the second time you come out, there's additional things added in. So your retainers or your contracts, monthly contracts that you're going to have for a certain amount of time should be on rails, meaning you would get this for this amount of months, and we're going to do this, and we're going to produce this amount of videos. And anything outside of that, you do need to recalculate whatever the cost may be, because that scope could be completely different than what we're talking about or what we approved you for at the beginning. And with this type of work, it's really great because what this does, if you're in like an intermediate level, or if, like, say for instance, you have a this is like your side hustle, but you have it for the next 6 months and you shoot on Fridays and Saturdays like a side gig, this is really good for you to establish like, hey, can I take this career or this hobby or this part-time side hustle that I'm doing and eventually focus and make that like a full-time gig, because now you have consistent income that you can see that's coming in, that is predetermined as far as like, I know I'm going to get this every single month from this particular client and we're doing this amount of videos. You can kind of like scale out to see where you can actually fit if you were to get 3 more clients. So that what that look like based off of your full-time job. So using these 4 ways is like a really great way for you to just kind of price out or start pricing your videography work correctly. And even when it comes down to somebody asking, like, for instance, like, I'm not too sure what you may be shooting. You could be shooting like music videos. And then all of a sudden for music videos, you can charge in this much. You don't want it to be like, well, this person charges, I'm just throwing a number out here. He charges $750 for a music video, but then each person's music video may be different. Like, you want to get away from that. What is your vision? What is my base? What does it take for me to, again, run this? What is the market saying as far as like videographers are similar to my level and they're doing similar type of work? Now, I'm not talking about the 1% or the ones that you see flying all over the place and they're in this hotel and they're shooting in this state and that state and that state, because those rates are going to be different. I'm sorry, they should be different. They should not be exactly the same if you're just local, kind of zipping around, bouncing here and there. I'm talking about they're out there, they're actually working, they're grinding, and you can actually see this. And based off the work that they're doing for the clients that they're doing, prayerfully, they're not selling themselves short. And then again, I'm going to just take into consideration what that project is before you spit numbers out there. Like, really take it in, really sit down, really put pen to paper, or using your computer, and really figure out a good pricing based off what your needs are, your market is saying, and also what is it going to take for you to run that project. And also, like I said, the last one is just by the retainer model, or the, hey, you got me for this amount of time each additional month, or you're going to get this amount of videos. From there, you can kind of calculate to see like, hey, if you have a person that's asking for a project and it seems like they're going to have it a lot, that's your bridge to sell them over to, hey, you're going to have me for the next 6 months to go ahead and produce out more videos for you based off this larger project that you have. That's the easy sell right there. But it ultimately is really just listening to what your client is needing, and that's what you're going to go ahead and provide to them. Like, you're that bridge between what they're that need, you're that bridge between that to get them to what their desired goal is. So hopefully this helped out. I know I kind of rambled. Hopefully we don't edit any of this. We just kind of just throw it up. But this is what helped me figure out, from going from, what should I charge? And like, you throwing a number out there and just throw a number out there with confidence, because now you know exactly what it costs. You're going in there with confidence. And honestly, what happens when I was figuring out as well, some clients that approached me earlier in my career when I first was starting off, and I sent them a quote, I know I was quoting too low. I was way too low. And they kind of were like, oh, thank you, because now they're not taking you serious. It's like, okay, I know you could do good work, but why are you so cheap? Because they're not going to accept you if you're super cheap. Yeah, you may get a few gigs if you're super duper cheap, but at one point they're going to be like, why are you so cheap? We're not used to paying this amount for the caliber of work that we're looking for. So really just, again, put yourself out there and try to figure that out. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, my name is Jay. I'm an entrepreneur here in the Atlanta area and owner of J.August Media. Right now we're in DC, but I just encourage you guys to do your homework. Make sure that you guys are pricing yourself right. And also, if you're not on social, or if you are on social and you are hesitating to post because you may have some type of anxiety, and I understand that, or you may just have the fact that you're envious of people that's out there. Instead of looking at to see what they're doing and being envious of that, look to see what they're doing and grab some clues from that, because success will leave clues. And just put your stuff out there, because you never know who's going to see it. And companies and individuals want to know that you're in the business to do business by looking at you do your business. So if you're just posting things here and you come back 6 months later and you come back another 6 months later, how do they know that you're still in business? They're looking at the person that's constantly showing up or in their feed, and they're going to ask them the question, hey, can you give me a quote on this? So hopefully this helped out. Make sure you share this with somebody who is a up-and-coming videographer, or if they're out there right now doing their thing and they're kind of struggling trying to figure out, look, how should I price this? Maybe this video is for them. So hopefully this helped. Make sure you you share, and you subscribe to it. And I'll catch you guys on the next impromptu video from a hotel room. Until next time.